Now, since you clicked this video, I bet one of the thoughts flying through your head right now is, a Reaper who actually fights instead of running away. Nah, man, something isn't quite right here. But it is true. You have not entered an alternate universe, I can assure you. I have in my possession mega rare footage of a Reaper fighting to his last breath. Now, the fact that I happen to be said Reaper is beside the point. But let me first give you some quick context. I had spent the day gathering loot and reaching Reaper tier 5, protected it against a galleon who wanted to steal it all, and then finally managed to sell the loot. While I sold the loot, my ship had been sailing by itself, so as to not make it obvious to anyone I was selling and an easy target. When I returned to my ship, an ATHENA sloop looked a little unnerved by the prospect of a Reaper 5 knowing their location at all times, and it would seem they had teamed up with a gold hoarder to put me out of business. Although, to be honest, the gold hoarder's shots were so far off, I can't tell if they were shooting at me or the ATHENA sloop. So rule 1 of solo slooping, in my opinion, is never ever race another boat broadside by broadside. Remember, you are all alone. While you can be certain that even other sloops fighting you are almost always duos, you will most likely be destroyed, and even if you somehow win the gunfight, even a single hit from the enemy will make it risky for you to board the enemy, as someone needs to fix the hole. I can't remember a single time a broadside exchange has ended well for me. Just avoid it at all costs. My next step in this fight was, if I may say so, clever and surprising. A strategy refined to the smallest detail. I started racing them and exchanging broadsides. Now, at first, the exchange went quite well, but I had not stocked up on supplies whatsoever, and only had the cannonballs my ship had spawned with. I was in dire need of a decisive engagement straight away, and I had put my ship in an aggressive angle, which resulted in a collision between our ships, and many holes in my own. Despite this, I went for the board and fought the crew man to man with the intention to put the ship on the bottom of the ocean as quickly as possible. They succeeded, and now I was far too aware that my own ship needed me a long time ago, and quite so, it had sunk around the same time as my enemies. With this new reality realized, I returned to personally witness my enemies making themselves familiar with the seafloor, and slew any unintended survivor. The gold hoarders were now the masters of the seas, but they were strangely unwilling to claim any of the loot from either shipwreck, to my despair, as I was now shipless and in dire need of a ride. I had no other choice than to swim all the way to the nearest island, fending off waves of evil sirens as I went. One of them even tried to lure me into believing it was taking me back to my ship, but I wasn't fooled that easily. My ship was gone, claimed by the ocean it had sailed for so long. I ignored this deceiver and pressed on to the island of Reapers. With solid ground below my feet, I praised the heavens and kissed the lovely island in a celebration of my survival. My ship problems still remained, but it seemed the least of my problems after getting rickrolled by the bastard Merrick and finding a spooky looking grave. Wait a minute, this is Merrick's brother's grave, isn't it? He surely has got a really personal beef with the Reaper, hasn't he? Wait, what? Okay, now I'm confused. The gold hoarders had run into some problems in the meantime, but even as the Kraken feasted on their flesh, their local area was still filled with quite a bit of traffic. As one of these vessels stopped by the neighboring island, I was lucky enough to discover a rowboat and made my way over to my self-proclaimed water-going Uber. They were having this customer whether they liked it or not. I entered the cab, but discovered that neither the cab driver nor service personnel was present. This is not gonna reflect well in my customer review later, I'm telling you. Displeased with what was on the menu, I was about to leave the kitchen, but then I remembered I had some raw shark I could cook. If the staff wasn't gonna give me a cooked meal, the least they could do was allow me to use the stove. Knowing my meal would take a while to cook, I retired to what I assumed was my personal quarters for a nap. That is precisely when the service personnel finally returned from whatever they had been up to. They seemed quite confused about the vehicle I had used to get here, but greeted me kindly. But then they put my personal quarters on fire. I have never. This is without a doubt the worst service I've ever had. You're not even getting 1 star, mate. One of them prepared to throw a blood bomb at me, so I decided that enough was enough. I'm going for a swim. Perhaps it wasn't my personal quarters after all, but it could have just told me. My sadistic cab driver was just the type of weirdo you would expect, and joined me for a swim, armed with a gun. Luckily, I was as armed as an average resident of Texas and slew my cab driver in self-defense. Unfortunately though, there was 2 of them and the other one murdered me. Banished to the afterlife, me and my crazy cab driver forgave each other and played a few tunes together before he headed back to the Wall of the Living. I hesitated to do the same though. What was life in the Sea of Thieves without a ship? Sure, rowers are nice. Very nice in fact. But the convenience of traveling around this world with sails is unchallengeable. And what is a captain without his ship? I mourned the loss of my ship, but I knew deep down that my ship would have wanted me to carry on. To find a new ship and keep sailing the seas for many more sunsets yet. As my soul returned to the cruel world that had taken my ship from me, I knew not what to expect. But the glorious miracle my reborn eyes first gazed upon was so amazing, I had no words for it. In the middle of the opening in the cave I found myself inside, a beautiful ship majestically floated just offshore of this island. Pristine from any damage, looking precisely like my noble old vessel. It took me a while to realize I wasn't dreaming. This was simply too good to be true. I clapped my hands in joy to whatever god or other being that had blessed me with such fortune, screamed out my joy and excitement there on that beach, and boarded my new ship, admired the exquisite craftsmanship put into building this boat, and set off into the breathtakingly beautiful sunset. I was back on the seas, captain once more, and ready for many adventures yet. And with this new hope, into the sunset and grand world I went. My name is Captain Thorrork, and it has been an honor. Alright, I hate to ruin a perfect ending, but if you're looking for more videos, last time I told a story about how to lose money fast and easy as a solo reaper. What? Why would I want to? Just check it out. It will make sense, I promise. It should be on screen somewhere.